right, boys, we're back. It's week 2. It's Thursday night edition. The last show that we did, it was Sunday, right?
Yeah, we did the Sunday night or the Sunday morning countdown.
And then did we do a show last Thursday?
We did. We
Dude, that's
kicked
how
off the
old I'm
season.
getting.
Yeah. No, all
It's
good.
getting late. It's getting late.
Gotta
But
check
anyway,
the
week
memory.
two. Week 2, I got Ben. I got Justin is not here with us today, so we have Roland. We're just gonna go over week 1 headlines, the Thursday night football primer, fantasy chatter, some betting picks, and then if we have time, we'll get into the Canelo Crawford, the biggest boxing fight or fight period in the game right now. So let's kick it off, man. If you guys are down, let's get into this Thursday night football
Jump into it.
and let's get it. What you got for us, man?
Oh yeah.
What
We got
go
some.
over?
Yeah, we got some week 1. Oh my bad. I forgot I'm handling things
You're
today.
good.
We got week 1 scores and headlines. Ron, you want to walk us through the 3 that we got here?
Yeah, so the Colts in the Daniel Dimes era just came out and kicked the shit out of the Dolphins, bro. 33-8. San Francisco went into Seattle and won in comeback style, which sucked for me because I took the Seattle spread, of course. And then Green Bay made a statement, man. The Packers took it to Detroit 27-13. Do you really count that last touchdown, boys? I don't think so. The score was really a lot worse than that. What was the biggest surprise here?
Biggest surprise for me would probably be that 27-13 from Green Bay. I think Green Bay, a lot of people were on them coming into the game. I know Ben was on them. That was a side. A lot of people thought it was just, primed for them. Detroit was going to be their first game without the 2 coordinators. That was much talked about. And let me tell you, the Detroit offense looked very bland. They were trying to force feed it to Gibbs any which way that they could. Definitely looks like it's going to take them maybe a few weeks to get going under the new offensive coordinator, although it's probably, has some remnants of what was left over from Ben Johnson. But we all know Ben Johnson is the offensive mind that was, kind of keeping that engine going. So just the way in which Green Bay beat Detroit was probably the most surprising. You see here in the notes, Detroit didn't score a touchdown until the final minute of the game. It was already 27-6. So just the way Green Bay handled business. Micah Parsons got his sack there at the end of the game, and defense looks for real, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
¿Qué onda, Ben? What about the last 2, bro? What? Or
Yeah.
if you want to talk about another game that's not on here,
I'll just mention one real quick because it looks like the end is near there in Miami with McDaniels. I was on the Dolphins. I said, am I going to really take Danny Dimes? No, I'm not. Danny Dimes came out refreshed. Looked good with the Colts. It seemed like they had the ball the whole game. Thank God for that A-chain garbage time touchdown there at the end. Definitely salvaged his fantasy day. But yeah, McDaniels. Give me McDaniels for first head coach fired this year. I think that's inevitable.
Yeah, Black Monday's coming for him.
The other surprise for me, man, was honestly it was the Patriots. I thought that the Patriots were going to be one of these teams. I have them to make the playoffs this year. You got a home game here in Gillette Stadium against Geno. We know Geno's pretty good in the home openers. They had Ashawn Genti, pretty subpar game, but Geno, was spreading the ball around and was able to move it. The Patriots, Drake May looked all right, some turnovers. Henderson got to rumble a little bit. We saw some digs, but overall, I was very surprised to see the Patriots lose. I think that's probably the most eliminations that came out of Survivor Week 1 was some people were on the Patriots, trying to get that early win at home against the Raiders, and Geno didn't write back.
Fantasy-wise, I think what Roland put here, the middle game, man, the Niners and the Seahawks, you lose Purdy, and George Kittle had one drive, it seemed like. So for fantasy implications, if you're a fantasy owner, are you panicking on George Kittle yet, boys? Or
Kittle, he was the 3rd tight end drafted for all intents and purposes this year. It was Bowers, McBride, then Kittle. So you were spending a prime draft pick to get a George Kittle. So yeah, maybe hitting the panic button a little bit. Probably you're probably in the waiver wire this past Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, looking for a Harold Fannin, looking for a Juwan Johnson, a Jonnu Smith type. Because I know I'm on the Bowers train, so having to deal with that kind of injury there, if he's going to play on Monday night or not. Also coming out of that game that Ben was talking about, New England and Las Vegas. yeah, I'd be panicking. And then, fantasy wise for sure. And then, just for the 49ers in general, like this is a team that when they're not competing in the NFC championship game or the Super Bowl, they're marred by injuries. It seems like this is not the first time that we've seen their starting quarterback go down or a key player. They just lost Christian McCaffrey last year for 9 games, and he looked pretty good. So thankfully, he came out of this, unscathed. And I know everyone was worried about him because he had landed on the injury report on Friday. So everyone was freaking out about that, but turns out he looks okay. So yeah, no, I'd be freaking out about Kittle. And if I were a 49er fan, hoping to have a good season, I'd be shaking because Matt Jones is warming up. And I think we all know what that means.
I will say that was a big win. I mean, it definitely didn't come at a small cost with half the
There's
team being
carnage.
injured.
Yeah.
But beating the Seahawks in Seattle, a division game, you're going to have them the second time in San Francisco a little later in the year. You expect those players to be. They said Kittle's going to miss 4 weeks at least, and they expected Purdy to miss 3 to 5. So, in comes Mac Jones. We saw Mac Jones slinging around for the Jags last year, had Brian Thomas as a top 5 fantasy football wide receiver. So, I mean, the one thing that we know is Mac Jones, he's always been known to be pretty professional. Yeah, he might not be the most talented guy, but I think that he follows the program, and Shanahan will make things pretty easy. This week they got a game against the Saints, so should be a layup. Then you're out Kittle. Kittle did get into the end zone before getting hurt, which was at least good for his fantasy owners. They got a good 10 points out of him week 1. But with Mac Jones, they'll probably win this week and go 2-0 up against the Saints. And I mean, you just got to hope to be 500 by the time you get Purdy and Kittle back. But that was a pretty big week 1 win.
Yeah. Shit, the cherry on top to me was the cherry on top of the whole week, man. That Sunday night game. I mean, that lived up to the expectations all the way. That game was crazy. That was like fucking Bills and Chiefs all over again, bro. That shit was rowdy.
Yeah, how do you lose that game?
The standout to me is we had this conversation in the chat was Harbaugh, right? Like, is he in this group of coaches that need to go? Ben talked about, Dolphins losing their coach will probably be the first one, but there's these coaches in the league right now that they've been with the teams for so long and the loyalty is there, but when do you cut ties? When do you do the fucking the coach from North Carolina? I don't know why I'm going blank. The Patriots coach.
Bill Belichick.
Yeah, when do you do the Belichick thing and just like, yeah, bro, like enough is enough. The Tomlins, the Harbaughs. I know. I thought coaching lost that game. Your team goes up and puts up 40. I mean, the players did their job. It's just the decisions that you make to me. But yeah, so that was a great week 1, man. Great storylines, great headlines. Yeah. Some teams going in the right direction and in the wrong direction. But let's get a little closer to tonight, which is the Thursday night game, the Thursday night primer. So Roland put some headlines here. Early season O-line woes for the Packers. A couple guys got hurt. I believe 2 are questionable going into
actually
tonight.
Inactive as of
they're inactive. It's
ago.
Official.
Yeah.
All right. So what about the defenses? Are they for real? We know the big trade with Micah Parsons. Washington's last year's Cinderella story season did have a lot of Jaden Daniels in it, but that defense with the OGs like Bobby Wagner held it down for them a lot and got them a lot of good wins on the road. Parsons, let's talk about him. He didn't really have a huge impact. He wasn't on the field for as much as we thought we'd see, I guess, game 1. And then at the end of the day, it's all about the guys under center, right? So these 2 younger guys, I personally am more of a little bit Jaden Daniels fan. I think Love is coming into his own, but he just doesn't have that it factor to me. So let's take us through these, boys. Where do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like just for tonight, I am worried about those offensive line woes for the Packers. I don't think either guy is going to be out long term. I think one of them was a hip pointer. And then the other one, I'm not too sure why he was out. But, they're going up against a pretty good front from the Washington side. Their front 4, you got Javon Kinlaw. I'm looking at their depth chart here. Daron Payne, Durance Armstrong, Wise Jr. These are all people that are solid contributors in the NFL. And I think here tonight, with 2 guys being down, we could see, Jordan Love, kind of, stressing for his life back there a little bit. So never like to see offensive line woes, especially kind of in a vacuum in a 1-game setting. I do think it's, a recipe for disaster, especially on a short week too. Not a lot of game planning you can do around that.
Yeah, I mean, I got an update from Underdog that Micah's going to play 50% or a little over 50% of snaps. Ron did allude to him not being out there on every down, but mostly rushing downs. He did end up chasing Jared Goff down for a sack. So
Yep.
if you took Parsons to get a sack week
If,
one,
if there was anything like a garbage sack, that's the fucking
he
garbage
chased.
sack
Hey,
right
he
there.
chased him down. I saw a post
Old
that said,
ass, old ass
"This is
Jared
like a
Goff.
Discovery Channel when you see the lion chasing down the gazelle." And it was just Micah in slow motion, bro. But I mean, they were
Jared Goff
my
ain't no gazelle, cuz.
yeah, for sure. The Packers were my preseason Super Bowl pick. I mean, they look pretty good. You never want to see Jared Goff outdoors, though. We know that he's a dome guy. Wasn't winter in Green Bay just yet, but just Jared Goff outdoors. No Ben Johnson. It was a bad recipe here today with the two offensive linemen out. I was leaning Packers originally. I think last year we saw Jordan Love get banged up several times when I believe it was the starting center that was out for a period of time last year, and he got pretty beat up. So, like Roland said, you don't like it in these one game settings. This is prime time. The Commanders' defense didn't look too bad last week, albeit against Russell Wilson and the Giants. But I think that it's gonna, you still see the -3 spread, so it hasn't moved off of there. We kind of talked about that last week. Maybe I don't know the updated one after the lineman, but pretty sure that this is up to date, right, Roland?
Yeah, this is up to date. It was 3.5. It's down to 3, and I think it moved down to 3 kind of off that lineman. I'm sorry, I got some dogs in the back.
I got you. No, but I mean, just that key number of 3, that field goal number, I think it's kind of telling you something. It not going below the 3. But I mean, we'll get to predictions when we get to predictions. But yeah, I don't like the offensive lineman out for Green Bay. It did sway my decision making in this game.
For me, it's more just the quick turnaround. Everybody says it. You only get a couple of days to practice, only get a couple of days to rest. And when you're a team that's missing 2 linemen on short days of rest, that's going to be even tougher, which is kind of why I lean to Roland's last point here, which quarterback prevails. It's just the it factor. It's the star power. If the Commanders go down a couple scores, we've seen it all last week, right? Teams that are coming back. So Jaden Daniels to me is somebody who can bring the Commanders back if they're losing. Jordan Love, on the other hand, I think he's a guy who leans a little bit more on Josh Jacobs. They got to get that running game going. And if they have a lead, that's kind of where they want to be. I don't know if they fall behind early, if they can come back. Just because I also read as far as injuries, what's the status on Golden? I think he's hurt, right? Reed was already banged up with a hamstring. I think Tucker Kraft is going to be a little bit more the focus tonight, and I'm on some of his props later on.
I like Tucker Kraft. He got in the end zone last week. It was in some of the leagues where I kind of wasn't able to get McBride or Bowers. I did settle for guys like Tucker Kraft, and it was good to see him get in the end zone last week. He made some pretty athletic catches.
Yeah, and last thing on me for this is this. Sorry.
You're good. You're good, bro.
Pet
No,
the
it's
dog,
cool.
Roland. Pet the dog, Roland.
The dog wants to give a prediction, bro.
Wants to get in on the action.
Yeah.
But no, for me, the defenses here, especially from the Packers side and also from the Commanders, because while they were tough last year, I think in passing defense they were 30th. So them, being stout this year would really take them to the next level. But same thing for the Packers. If they're able to exude that type of strength that they had against Detroit. And I mean, they controlled the run game. Detroit's a strong running team for the past couple of years. We know they've had a strong offensive line these past years, at least since Dan Campbell has been there. And they weren't able to get anything going. And so if Green Bay is going to be coming with that type of defense, especially, kind of now being anchored by Parsons, this is a true, Super Bowl contender. So I think Ben might be onto something with his preseason Super Bowl bet. Especially that defense is, as good as advertised. What we saw week 1.
And if they can win enough games to get home field, and then teams got to go and play out there, like I said, Jared Goff out there in Lambeau in, January when it's 10 degrees, it's just not a good recipe for other teams. They're leaning on Josh Jacobs in the run game and then having Love, play off of that. So they have a good recipe, and I think that coach has kind of earned people's respect, right? I think at first people were like, Did he kind of just get McCarthy's leftovers and get put in a good situation? But now we've seen Aaron Rodgers leave. We know they kind of had a little tiff, but it looks like LaFleur's a pretty good coach.
LaFleur. Talking
Yeah.
about players, man. I think we have something on the wide receivers tonight. Scary Terry versus Debo.
Yeah, let's get to it. There's some
Bill wanted
fantasy
to talk
chatter.
about that. Yeah. So, Bill, as y'all fantasy gurus, I'm sure you know his nickname is Bill, the new young rookie running back for the Washington Commanders. Green Bay receiver roulette. Debo versus Scary Terry. Just general fantasy talk. Fantasy implications tonight, boys. Debo is, you could say, fringe flex, auto start. Regardless of it, did you like his performance last week? Was he a little bit more involved than you guys thought he was? Because I feel like that was the general feel, right? Like he wasn't going to be too involved, but hey, he kind of balled out last week.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He was more involved than I thought he was going to be. He was in shape. You know, part of me feels like those photos that we saw in the offseason were partially just to draw us off of the Commanders and off of Debo in fantasy, because everyone was making fun of him in the offseason, saying he looked fat. He couldn't cut in the wide receiver drills. How is he going to get open? How is he going to do anything with the ball in his hands? And we know what Debo was in San Francisco, not necessarily known for stellar route running or game-breaking speed, you know, breaking the top off of the defense. I don't want to call him a gadget player because he is more than that. He is able to work out of the slot, get open, and make plays down the field. So he's much more than a gadget receiver, but gadget type, gadget-y, if you will. You know, there's a lot of designed runs for him. He'll get runs out of the backfield, designed for him as a running back or on the jet sweep. And, you know, he had 7 catches, 77 yards on 10 targets. I did not have that on my bingo card. I was happy to see it. I had him on my bench in one league. I'm going to be starting him for Worthy this week. So hopefully he does good tonight. But yeah, I was surprised. And I think it's a sign of things to come. I think Debo is going to have a very, very big part in this offense. They did bring him over for a reason. I don't think it's just to have a shiny toy. I think they're going to use Debo. What about you, Ben?
Dude, it's kind of weird to me. I feel like Debo will have a good year and then people are like, he'll have a bad year and then people will really be off of him. But I mean, people were really off of Debo this year. Like people were treating Debo like he was Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, like he tore his ACL.
Yeah, even in fantasy, they were going around the same area. But I mean, I'm not going to say that I called this because I also had him on one of my benches and I flexed him in another league. But I mean, he's a gamer when he's healthy and when he's on the field. Like, I get that it's gadgety, but the dude, when he has the ball in his hands, there's a possibility that it might go to the crib. He does have that game-changing ability. He's a game changer. He's a baller. I think I'm scared that could have been his best game of the season, though. I mean, it kind of lined up with Terry's, you know, sitting out the preseason. You would expect Terry just to have that natural connection with Jaden Daniels, right? But just getting back into game shape and all that stuff, he was truly holding out for that contract. Debo looks good. I know you mentioned that he's working out of the slot as well. So that's, you know, those quicker passes. You expect him to – he's the guy that runs the drags. He'll run the slant. He's big enough. You know, some people say that he's a running back. I don't know how many designed runs he'll be getting, but I do think that might have been his best game of the season. But I still think that he's like 15 point, 10-point floor range is what I think. So I think that he can be wide receiver 2 or flex up until he shows that he can't. You know, and Scary Terry had 4 targets all game, you know, last week. So, again, you don't expect that to happen all year, but Debo is definitely going to be way more involved than everybody thought.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up somewhere in the middle between the two of them and the Debo versus Scary Terry. I do agree. He was holding out for a contract much of the offseason, kind of like what CeeDee Lamb did last year, had no preseason, took CeeDee a couple of games to get warmed up, and then, you know, he had a pretty good year despite some injuries at the quarterback position. And I expect Scary Terry to get the ball rolling. He'll end up being, you know, he'll finish in the top 20 as far as the wide receivers are concerned this year. I'm pretty sure, unless he gets hampered by injury. But this is an explosive offense. You got a guy like Jaden Daniel that can move the ball. He's a threat running it. Got himself some more weapons and Debo. So he's not, you know, relying on his legs all the time. But the last point before I pass it over to Ron is I like also too the offensive coordinator that they have in Cliff Kingsbury. Strikes me as the guy that's going to use the Debo Samuel and is going to draw up some plays for him. So I like what I see. And the guy pictured here too, Bill Ja'Cory Krosky-Mara, just shows Washington. Almost, I don't want to say they have an embarrassment of riches, but they're getting there. They're working themselves towards being a pretty loaded team here the next couple of years.
Only thing I'm gonna say is, I think Debo will get a little bit more looks, if that makes any sense. And for fantasy wise, now everybody does PPR. Yep. I think to me, Scary Terry is somebody who you're gonna get, over the top. Get a little 8-10 point play, like boom and one chingazo, but with no solid tight end over there. I know Zach Ertz is there, but
Ertz balled last year.
Yeah, sure. So I'm glad you said that, because last year there was no Debo. So obviously Scary Terry was killing it over there, just like CeeDee Lamb did with no Pickens. I mean, I'm not saying Pickens took away a lot of attention.
Pickens might have caught those balls. That's another conversation.
Yeah, it's just like there was nobody else really over there who was blowing up besides Scary Terry. And then so Zach Ertz. And now you have Debo. So it's like, well, we can't. He's not just an addition to the team to like, oh, we got a good deal. We got a good contract. He was a free, whatever. It's like, no, we got him over here because
we want to get over
implemented into our offense. Like we think of him as a weapon, not just, oh, cool, we got a good deal on him, or he didn't want to be with the Niners anymore, or
if you remember,
like injury concern.
They were trying to run some of this stuff with Curtis Samuel last year. Curtis Samuel was their guy in the Debo Samuel role. And Debo's, here head and shoulders above.
And then like touchdowns to me, like you inside the 10, 5, like little slants, sweeps to the outside, like they want to get him involved. So I could see him having a very comparable season to Scary Terry fantasy wise. That's just
music to my ears.
It's definitely the best quarterback that he's probably ever played with.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably the 49ers offense were probably as high powered just because of all the weapons, CMC, Kittle, him, Ayuk, at one point. But as far as quarterbacks go,
Garoppolo,
these are the best looks he's going to be getting. And then you got Cliff Kingsbury as the OC, who you said is probably a way better OC than he is going to be head coach. And like these guys, it's no pressure. He's just drawing shit up, being creative. But so I think that the Commanders, man, did they switch stuff up, quickly right after the sale of that team. Like Roland said, they acquired talent. They changed their roster around, through drafting a bunch of these rookies, Debo, keeping Scary Terry. So they're doing a hell of a job over there. And, tonight's a big test. I think if they can get a win tonight, they're definitely in there, contending with the Eagles for the division.
Especially with the running back situation not being as solid. Your Jaden Dallin is probably going to sling a little bit more this year.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I was going into the running back talk, just their backfield, and talking about the rookie. We know that he still hasn't been given the starting nod. I didn't start him week 1. I'm not going to start him again today. I think that, the Packers defense is pretty legit, and I think it's going to be more of a passing game for the Commanders. So, yeah, we might see Eckler. We didn't really see Eckler too much week 1, but I think this is more of an Eckler game than a game for the rookie today. But I will say, as soon as they give him the starting nod, I think that he's going to be an auto flex in your lineup just based off, at least getting over 10 touches a game. Like, let's at least let that be his floor, right? We know he's going to get 10 at least. In an offense like that, offense that's going to be in the red zone a lot, we saw him get in the end zone in the red zone last week. So I do think that he's going to have a lot of opportunity, but I'm just waiting until they give him that starting nod.
Yeah. I like that. Well, with about 15 minutes left, our time till kickoff, let's get into the predictions, right, boys? I think that's one of the last things that we're going to talk about.
Let's do it. Yeah, and then we got some fight talk.
Oh yeah. So Thursday night best bets. I'll just go over them real quick. I'll go over mine. Commanders plus 3.5. Josh Jacobs first half TD and Tucker Kraft anytime TD. It's crazy, right? I'm going for the other team to score TDs, but I'm on the Commanders plus 3.5. The reason that I did that is because I think we will see an exciting game. The total set at 48. So I think there'll be a lot of opportunities here. I guess we could say I think there's going to be a lot of red zone action, and so Josh Jacobs first half TD, it's at plus 120. And then Tucker Craft anytime TD is I don't know what the odds are on that one. I forgot. I just wanted to throw it up there. And then Commanders plus 3.5. I think it's going to be a tie game. I don't think either team pulls away from each other. So why not get the hook at 3.5 for the Commanders and Jaden Daniels?
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll go over mine real quick. I am with you. I'm not taking them officially anywhere, but if I were to pick a side, I do lean the Commanders plus 3 here, especially with those offensive linemen out. Like I said, in a vacuum, it's not good for a one-game setting. But my play is Deebo Samuel over 4.5 receptions, just kind of feeding off of that big game that he had this past Sunday. And then also I like his matchup in the slot. He's going up against a slot corner. His name's Javon Bullard. He's playing for Nate Hobbs, who is their true starting slot cornerback. And last week he gave up 10 catches on 11 targets for 72 yards when lining up on the field. So I just like Deebo to get peppered with some targets here in the slot. There's an obvious mismatch there, and hopefully I get the 5 catches.
Ben, what do you got for us? You got a play here, Ben? Oh yeah, you got one.
Yeah, I do have one. I'm on the over. Roland said he expects a pretty open game. I expect a pretty open game as well. We saw the Packers, get 20 plus points last week. The Lions obviously couldn't get it done. This isn't Jared Goff. This is Daniels. I expect a good game. I expect a shootout. Probably last possession wins. With those O-line changes, I am going to switch my pick. I think that the Commanders are going to end up pulling this out on the road. Like I said, I've seen Jordan Love get banged up when he's missing offensive linemen. This isn't good. They probably knew, but they just ruled him out a couple hours before the game. It wasn't like, for sure the backups have been practicing, right? These starters were practicing, but just getting the go-ahead or not getting the go-ahead, I think it's a little short notice, so give me the Commanders to pull this one out late.
You know what I want to ask you guys real quick is everybody's like Green Bay looks so good and it was clicking and all the offensive terms and shit. Or was it just that Detroit was terrible? Or has the Detroit defense been that great to begin with? I know they didn't have Hutchinson's last year and he's back and they still didn't do much. Detroit just looked bad offensively and defensively. Packers went out, did their job, right? They get the dub. But can we attribute it more to the Lions not putting up a good performance so the Packers don't look as great? Or
I hate to be that guy, but I think it lies somewhere in the middle, right?
Okay.
I do think the Packers are legit this year. I do think the addition of Micah Parsons really shores up that defense. They have a legit front 7 now. Rashawn Gary, Micah Parsons. I know they got that linebacker. Where's number 7? I think his last name's Clark. And that pretty good secondary. And we already know what that offense is about. Hopefully Jordan Love can take another step in his maturation. And we're going to see the Packers, competing for an NFC conference championship or, a Super Bowl if they get past that. And the Lions, I don't think they're that bad. I just think I kind of underestimated rather the effect of not having Ben Johnson there calling the plays. I thought they would have the talent to, just, hey, it doesn't really matter who the play caller is, just draw up a play for Gibbs. And, you got Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. How hard can it be? But it's a little bit harder than just that. You got to put the players in the right position to win the game. And it might take the Lions a little while to get into their groove. I still think that they have the parts to, get the engine going and still have a successful season. It just might look a little bit different. But yeah, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Honestly, I don't think the Packers are some super juggernaut that are just going to go 15-1 or 16-1, whatever the record is of the 17 games and just, run shop on everybody. But I do think they've taken a step up, and it's fair to say that maybe the Lions are not on that pedestal that they were, these past 2 to 3 years, because they have lost a few guys, even on the offensive line and the coordinators that we've already talked about ad nauseum. So yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Tucker Craft plus 200 anytime TD. Ben, you have him on your fantasy?
I do have him on my fantasy. I hope that he scores a touchdown. I know that, the wide receivers, like you mentioned, were a little banged up. So I expect them to be, second option, third option at worst tonight.
Yeah.
Got a fantasy question from Mark. Shout out Mark. He wants to know, should I start Jordan Love tonight versus the Commanders, or should I go with Painted Nails? I think he's referring to Caleb Williams there, and started to paint his nails for a reason now, for a cause. So not just doing it just to do it.
If that's a serious question, I would go not Caleb Williams, because last week he played like shit. He had those rushing TDs. The first half he looked solid, and then just throws like sailing on him, missing them, and just
I go Jordan Love tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Marky's been high on Caleb Williams, drafting him a lot, so he was a big Bears believer.
Well, there's your answer, Marky. Hey, 7:02. We got a couple minutes till game time.
Yeah, let's get into the fun topic here.
Yeah, let's just touch on the fight real quick, because I got to go do my fantasy lineups. Well, fuck it. Now that I have you guys here, are you starting Scary Terry tonight? Like over?
What's your decision?
Are you starting him over Egboku?
No.
And Tiatora, or what's the receiver from the Panthers?
McMillan.
Yeah,
that's a good question. And they have a decent matchup this weekend, don't they? That's Panthers versus the Cards.
I would start him over Ted.
Yeah, I'd probably go Scary Terry, but it's close with Ted though. Honestly.
And Egbuka?
I start Egbuka.
Ben?
Probably. I was thinking about starting Ricky Pearsall over Scary Terry, but I can't quite get there just yet.
I'm just like, I don't want to miss one of those Scary Terry fucking games, right? Like the fucking 8 catches for 175 and shit.
Mark says start McMillan.
All right, so 7:04. Marky, okay, I'll think about it. 7:04.
Young looked horrible, bro. I don't know if y'all saw it.
Yeah, Bryce did not look good
too, bro.
Bryce did not look good.
Canelo Crawford, who do you got, and where are you watching?
Make it quick. I got Canelo here. It's not too exciting. He's minus 180. I just think it's gonna be tough for Crawford. He's coming up 2 weight classes. We've seen guys try and do this before, including Canelo going up some weight classes, and it didn't end well for him. He's gonna be the bigger guy here. He's got the experience. He's got the class in the ring. Crawford does too. This might be one of the best guys, if not the best, other than like Floyd. And I'm probably not the best boxing guru to be saying this, but one of his best opponents to date. It is for sure. So definitely not anything to like look past, because this is the fight. I'll go Canelo here. Just bigger guy. Just hard to get past here, and I'm simple when it comes to betting boxing. So yeah.
Okay, Ben, what you got?
I'm gonna go with the more athletic guy. I think Crawford. I think Crawford at plus money is. I mean, I get the size.
I wouldn't be mad. I like Crawford. I mean,
but the speed, the speed, and just Canelo, like
working the jab.
Competition hasn't been there for him lately. This is gonna be like
best guy since Triple G.
And for sure, he'll probably be the bully, as he's gonna be the bigger guy in there. But I just don't see Crawford backing down. I don't see him knocking Crawford out. I don't see Crawford tiring out. So Crawford at plus money, probably never going to get that again. So I'm just going to take Crawford here against Canelo.
What say you, Ron?
I'm going to take Canelo because it's going to go to decision, I feel. And they're not going to fuck Canelo on this shit.
In Vegas?
The perfect thing is like goes to decision.
It's in Saudi Arabia, I think.
It's in Vegas.
It's in Vegas.
Yeah. So
it's an Allegiant.
The best thing that could happen here is close fight, decision, goes to Canelo, but like in a split decision. Then you have all the Crawford fans talking, and then they do like rematch, and it's like the biggest fucking fight ever in the history of boxing, right?
Yeah.
You could see that shit happen, and I think that's why I'm gonna go with Canelo, because I don't think Crawford can stop him. Nobody's ever knocked him down. The only loss that he had was against Mayweather, and even Mayweather didn't, put this guy on his back. So Canelo's not going to go down. You're not going to stop him. It's going to go to decision. And, I mean, I think that the ring presence and the fact that Canelo's going to be landing, to me, what's the tougher blows, like the more thudding shots. I think if you're a judge and you're right there ringside, you can hear those and you feel them, and you feel like he might be a little bit more dominant. But definitely a fight that he has to win, even though he's Canelo and one of the GOATs. It's like if Brady went to go play Manning both at their prime and Manning beat him, it's like you're the GOAT, but shit, remember when you went against Manning and you lost? Like that, I think that's what the situation is here for Canelo, is that If he beats Crawford, he's like Ali.
He solidified himself for sure.
He's
even
like
more so.
Ali. And if he does it, it's like, oh shit, you're one of the GOATs, but you've lost to Crawford that
The
time.
smaller
Remember?
guy. Yeah.
Yes, bro. So I think there's a lot more pressure on Canelo for this fight. Crawford's he's the underdog. He's gonna go in there. If he steals a win, shit, biggest accomplishment for him in his whole life, biggest upset in boxing. You know, all that. The storyline's his. And if he goes in there and loses, it's like, oh well, he lost to Canelo, so I mean, it's cool.
Crawford's best opponent is Earl Spence.
Earl Spence,
but
he
Earl
made
Spence
Spence look silly.
Earl Spence off the car crash too, though. That's all I'll say. Yeah, almost had a tragic car crash.
Where you guys watching
after the crash?
Where y'all watching?
Sure, yeah.
I
don't know.
We're going to UFC Noche. Roland's coming out.
Yeah, UFC Noche.
No, you're going out with the boys, Roland?
UFC Noche. Hell yeah.
Gotta go. Be at the UFC fight starting at 2, and then
gotta go hit some bets.
Hey, y'all gotta fucking do a pod, man. Come on.
Gotta go live from the event.
Do some live streaming or something over there. But
hopefully some bets.
Hopefully it's a good
some bets.
Hopefully it's a good card. I know we got Chiwiwi scratched, but at least we got John Silva and Diego Lopez in the final. That should be lit.
Like a 15-minute show tomorrow. Just so y'all too. Like, we're gonna be there, so we're gonna do bets.
And there's Valley representation on the card.
Diego
fighting against Alex Hernandez, who's a San Antonio guy. So 956 versus 210 should be pretty good there on the prelims.
Kind of. It's not so much San Antonio Roadrunners versus the logo that Ben has on his cap, but it's still 210-956.
Yeah, I mean, Valley versus San Antonio, that's a rivalry that goes back as far as time.
Hopefully the 2-0 takes another L on Saturday.
Hoping. I'm rooting for CDF here.
Hey, I will say boxing needs something big, though. Boxing really right
this
now.
This is it. Yeah.
Right
well, yeah, but it can't just be a flash in the pan. Like you said, they gotta
continue
fix this to where they run it back, because the heavyweight division it's over with. Josh was gotten his ass whooped. Ngannou already got his ass whooped. Tyson Fury already got his ass whooped. Like, the heavyweight division was keeping boxing alive, and that's no longer a thing.
And you got Gervonta Davis fighting Jake Paul.
You know what I mean? Jake Paul keeping boxing alive, but boxing needs something.
Yeah. Are you guys worried about Netflix? You think they're going to get it right? They've had I feel like they had the NFL. They did the NFL. So. Okay, there's no issues with the stream. I just think back to the Jake Paul stream, and that was terrible.
This is going to be a lot. Well, I don't know. You think this will be more people watching than the Christmas NFL game that they had, or no?
That's a good question.
Fuck yeah, you're going to have every single Netflix account in Mexico is going to be watching this fight. Like, easy.
Yeah, so I mean, I hope Netflix doesn't mess it up, because that would be a shame too.
Anytime Dana White has something to do with a product, it's going to fucking work no matter what.
Yeah.
So we didn't have Dana White in the NFL. Netflix one, but we have him here, and we have the fucking richest man in the whole world. So the production here, I think, is going to be fucking excellent.
And a lot of
a lot of the fights on the undercard as well. I think Vargas' son is fighting an Irishman, Cullen or Mullen or something like that. So there's going to be a lot of fights before this. It's not like a fucking Jake Paul. It's just one fight and that's it.
And I think you guys touched on it too, though. I think this is good for boxing, just from the sense that, and I saw a lot of. In the build-up, the Netflix, they did kind of like their the HBO. They used to do the Road to the Ring or whatever, the 24/7 or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that.
They were doing this for that, and they brought out some old heads, some old boxing figures, like, and they were talking. And it's true, like boxing back in the day. And again, none of us were there, but we all read about the epic matchups that they had, right? We all read about Foreman and Ali. We read about Ali Frazier. I was thinking about Sugar Ray Leonard versus
Edward Duran.
We hear about
fight.
Yeah, exactly. We hear about all these epic matchups, and it's like the best of the best going against each other in their prime or close to their primes. But somewhere along the way, it kind of got lost in boxing. People were protecting records. You got your different factions, different promoters and stuff, and some guys never lining up to fight each other. This is what needs to happen in boxing, to Ben's point, something big like this, two titans coming up against each other and just laying it all on the line. Like, I mean, yes, someone is going to take the L at the end of the day, and like legacy matters to these guys, especially at this level. But I mean, they're going to be getting paid fat. I mean, come on, like
Fuck.
Terrence Crawford's going to make more money in this fight than he's ever made in
Probably
his whole career.
career.
And he's taking a huge risk fighting Canelo, but he's going to get the bag. So that I'm just saying that to encourage, hopefully, if, you know, any boxers are out here watching this, which I highly doubt, but just encourage these guys to take,
You never know.
you know,
pal.
these big bouts, because that's what people want to watch. They don't want to watch, you know, guys preserving records and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you don't even have to legally stream it. It's on your Netflix account.
Yeah,
so
and if
that'll
you do,
fucking help, right?
Dana will find you. He's still on the hunt. He's still on the hunt for the Streamies guys.
All right, man. Well, that's pretty much it for us here. We're done. We got 3 minutes till
Yep.
kickoff. Get your fantasy last little, what do they call it, tinkering in,
I
and
got 3 minutes.
and lock in your bets. And that's it. Thanks